Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Tuesday, April 14, year of our Lord 2026. My Picardo's Jewelers watch tells me it's 9:08 and change. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, broadcasting today from the United States of America, the country that's making everything right in the world. It's also the place for the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to our man, John Basiliga, and his great Eastern roofing systems. These men have made us and kept us free. People like Eugene Contratti, Cunningham, Robert Crone, Newfoundland, and Joseph Perotti, late of North Carolina, but he was a son of Bloomsburg. The United States of America, founded with the certain knowledge and understanding by our amazing, irreplaceable, and profoundly wise founding fathers who knew that government should not be, cannot be, and never shall be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation. Not any of these things. Because the government's power always means less freedom, less liberty, and less choice for Americans. These amazing people knew that government power, because of human nature, should only be a necessary evil designed to protect and organize society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. It could not be parceled out to groups. It could not be controlled by government or government officials, because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and even freedom of the press, no matter how they use it. Now, because they were armed with these freedoms, and only because of that fact, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, many of them rejects from around the world, they and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose. Unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show will always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And yes, the double entendre is intended. And so we gavel to order. Well, let me get the microphone out of the way, and then we'll gavel to order today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our total, immersive, immovable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here for the balance of this singular, extraordinary morning. A gentle warning, this is not a safe harbor for stupidity. Any stupidity will be roundly and, dare I say, harshly attacked throughout the program. We will not suffer fools gladly, and their foolishness and ignorance, willful or otherwise, will be called out with intent, purpose, and vigor, designed and sadly necessary to save our great republic from evil, senselessness, and weakness, which can bring this noble and successful experiment down if we do not honor our obligations and aggressively oppose it. That's the deal. Well, good to be back. Had a great extended weekend. Cutie and I went to Naples, Florida, and it was absolutely fabulous. I just, but you get into it's so expensive. Like, you can't wait to get back home because most people have money down there, and it is woof. They take your eyeballs out, and so you have to come home and regroup, and of course go back to work. But a beautiful weekend, perfect weather, great people. We were there, and by the way, guess who we saw? And she can't be on the air today because her flights got messed up. She's actually coming up to Scranton. Our girl, Tina Morocco, who, by the way, is sponsoring this first hour of the program. She's Global Sales Advisor at Premier Sotheby's International. Their Naples, Florida office. You can look her up through Sotheby's International there or directly, Tina Morocco, MURACCO.com. And boy, her and her husband, who's a great lawyer and an attorney down there, they really do know their way around, as do our other friends down there. So we hit all the right place. And I thought Tina would be on with me today. And what does this shirt say? Mino. This Italian joint. They had an Italian restaurant. And it has this message on the back, which is really funny. They say no butter with bread. They say no, because Italians don't use butter on bread. It's all olive oil. They say no chicken parmesan. That is American Italian food, not Italian food. And there's a few other things they say. Oh, they don't serve the meatballs. This was one that I was like, really? They don't serve the meatballs on top of the macaroni. You get meatballs, and they have amazing meatballs. But, yeah, you can't have meatballs on top. So it's these things, and it's on the front door of the restaurant. And it's a great thing. Cabinet guy says, buying a house, Bob? No, my God, no. My God, no. I'll let you, there's actually, you can't help but look, you're one of the premier realtors in the country, and so you're asking about these things. But no, I'm not buying a house. Look, at my parents are still with me. My grandkids, I got 5 grandkids. I'm not gonna be spending months and months anywhere other than with you, whether you like it or not. Oh, Lord. Somebody says, I told you so, left-wing radical in disguise. Bob, tell your listeners, beware of Mayor Paige Cognetti, running on Spangenbergers, that's the Virginia governor, born-again moderate centrist playbook. Don't be fooled, voters. Amen. Bob, another on the same subject, same person. Bob, LTS, you were right again. Virginia Governor, Virginia Abigail Spangenberger, who ran as a born-again Democrat, moderate centrist, no longer. Yeah, she said they're nuts. A moderate, back to her insane far-left policies. And this is what Paige Cognetti's doing. By the way, they may start paving my street today. So, and by the way, I actually feel bad for everybody else in the Hill section and now in Greenridge and in Southside. The West Side, the roads are atrocious. It's actually, you would actually think, and here's, I saw Paige Cognetti's in Austin, Texas, raising money for a congressional race when the streets should be getting paved. It's unbelievable. I'm telling you, everything we said about her has come true. She's been an awful, incompetent mayor. And now you've got this just zero concern, literally zero concern for us. She wants to be the new Eric Swalwell. That's her deal. It's unbelievable. And we have to live through it. Absolute disgrace. We have to live through her insanity. By the way, Bob Cordaro Show is brought to you on live stream. You can catch that on YouTube and on our own website, WILKNewsRadio.com, by Roach Supply. They're celebrating 75 years in business, the premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania. And you're not in business 75 years unless you're great at what you do, unless you're honest, unless you deliver the goods at the right price. So you go to roachsupply.com, R-O-C-H-E, roachsupply.com. By the way, Poet Joe texting, he goes, I know they'd have a heart attack if you bring out a jar of mayonnaise. Well, Poet Joe, I'm not in the habit of bringing mayonnaise or other condiments to restaurants. But I'm sure, see, it didn't even cross their mind that someone would bring mayonnaise into Minos. Oh, Lord, it's crazy stuff. But it was a great weekend. But it is great to be back with you and really nice. I heard Snedeker this morning. It's a great weather forecast for mid-April. We've got to start thinking about, I've got to get my extension filed. Dr. Vinny Boombatz is my is my accountant. I have to guess whether he's going to file for me. We'll see. But we have to take this break. Bob Cordaro, WILK, the eponymous program. Well, it's going to roll on after this. Imperial Records. Murph lets us know they released Fats Domino's hit Ain't That a Shame this date, 1955. And by the way, there's another event Joe Nardone's hosting in just a couple of weeks down at the Kirby Center with the oldies. Stay tuned. We're going to have a couple of interviews and discussions on that, and you could hear the spots. These shows are fabulous. Before Fats, 1865, President Abraham Lincoln, shot by John Wilkes Booth. He would die the next day. That was an eyewitness to Lincoln being shot, recorded in 1930. So even though the audio wasn't great, all that, but it's just like the true history. Amazing stuff. Bob, the former Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin, recently made a speech about Spangenberger. Youngkin stated, "I told you so. These Democrats are not moderate, and they're scamming you out of your vote. They're really left-wing radicals with left-wing radical agenda for America." You have to be a Democrat. It's amazing. Look at John Fetterman is going to get drummed out. Guarantee you, and it's not going to happen, thank God, but Paige Cognetti be running for U.S. Senate the day after she got elected for Congress to try to take Fetterman's seat. These people are unbelievable, and they're solely driven by their own ambition and the sick, twisted agenda they pursue. That's who they are. Crazy stuff. Yeah, my man Dominic Morocco, who we were with, he's Tina's husband and used to work with me at my law firm. And yeah, he just knows, and everybody loves him and Tina. Absolutely love him. And they just, they love when they're there. And Dominic speaks like 3 languages. 3. In other words, Portuguese, passable Portuguese, Spanish, Italian. He was speaking Chinese to us. And I think the other one's Japanese. It was incredible. But we had a we just had a blast. Whatever, all my usual stops in the Naples area and a couple new ones. And it was fabulous. It really was. By the way, my man Joe D. The city owns a park in West Side, 10th Street, behind the old St. Lucy's Church, which I understand now. And I'm waiting to go there because they have a Latin Mass every week. I think that's where they moved to. But anyway, they've got this flag. And it's not Johnny Cash tattered old flag. And I mean, here's what happens when the mayor doesn't care, by the way. Doesn't care. This flag that Joe sent me at Novembrino Park, it's absolutely destroyed. It's got to be retired. But nobody's doing anything about it because we have an incredibly incompetent mayor. The flag is destroyed. And actually has to be retired. So, Mayor Cognetti, if you're not in Austin, Texas, or Washington, D.C., raising money, and why in God's name would you be in these places, by the way? Unreal. Get a new flag for Novembrino Park. It's a disgrace. Absolute disgrace. It looks like, I'm telling you, it looks like it's from the War of 1812. That's what you get, though. So, it is exhausting keeping up with the incompetence of this mayor, and she wants to be the congressperson. They just never stop, do they? Somebody said, Bob, you and Bolus need to run for mayor. You two are both felons, and together you'd make one brain cell. We'd be back to when Scranton was corrupt and great. That's actually pretty good. Bob Page Cognetti, all over the internet, saving Medicaid, and she's moderate Page Cognetti. Oh, God. She's a liar. She's an outright liar. It's unbelievable. By the way, somebody texted in apropos of our little point on Abraham Lincoln. The assassination flag on display at the Milford Historical Society. How about that? And I'm telling you how disappointing, because, and I think more than any president, much more than JFK, and I like JFK, the world changed dramatically because of it. Now, JFK was replaced by a scumbag, Lyndon Johnson. And JFK living and serving out even 2 terms in office would have been infinitely better than having scumbag Johnson as our president. He did so much damage, it's almost incalculable. We're still feeling it today. Not just the Vietnam War, by the way. I could go through a laundry list. I just won't. So Abraham Lincoln, though, not being there to unify the country after the Civil War, man, the reverberations continue to today. And the race baiters and the race hucksters are using it today. It's incredible. All right. I missed, oh, by the way, my mother's reminding me, I missed the local festival for, my son was part of a panel, and then he aired his, a short called it was based on the Fast and Furious movies. Why am I blanking on it? It's really funny. You can find it on YouTube. Oh, I'm going to have to find out on the commercial. But in any event, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK, will come back with our first Veterans Tribute and much more. Happy to be back with you. Our Veterans Tribute today, as with every day, and this hour, as with every hour, proudly, dutifully, loyally brought to you by a friend of the veterans, John Basiliga. Now, it's Tuesday, where we normally talk about Serenity Care, but I'm going to talk about Eastern Roofing Systems. That's John's first company, his biggest company, headquartered in Jessup. They are one of the largest, and they are the premier roofing contractor for institutional, commercial, and industrial construction. And they bring all that buying power, all that expertise right here to Northeast Pennsylvania because they're in our backyard. They'll do your house. They'll do your building here. And you get the benefit of Eastern Roofing's expertise and experience. Eugene Contratti. He was 83 when we lost him March 27th. He was from Cunningham. Born in Hazleton, he was a Vietnam War veteran and proudly served all of us in the United States Navy. Prior to retiring, he was employed for many years as a dedicated Pennsylvania State Trooper. He served us even longer. Subsequently, he was a process server in Luzerne County after retiring from the States. Member of the FOP Lodge 38, the American Legion, the Elks Lodge in Hazleton. Loved to golf. Preceded in death by brothers and a sister, surviving his son's wife, his grandchildren, brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, all of that. Navy man and state policeman Eugene Contratti. Our great veteran this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Oh, that's the weather. The AccuWeather forecast brought to you by our friends at Montage Mountain, who've got nothing but good news for you today. Very warm with some sun, becoming breezy this afternoon with a thunderstorm in spots. Well, it's not in spots if you're there. Thunderstorms can bring localized damaging wind gusts. High of 82 today. I thought it was only supposed to be 70. See, my phone is not accurate. That's why I'm happy we're the weather station. Tonight, a stray evening thunderstorm, low 59. Tomorrow, very warm with periods of clouds and sunshine. A thunderstorm in the afternoon. Thunderstorms could bring localized damaging wind gusts. So windy again tomorrow with that. High 84, low 64. Thursday, very warm. Sun and areas of high clouds in the morning, then mostly cloudy in the afternoon. High 89, low 58. Friday, mostly cloudy, very warm. A shower in spots in the morning, followed by brief showers in the afternoon, high 77, low 54. Saturday, remaining very warm, intervals of clouds and sun, high 82, low 57. And that is your weather, brought to you by our friends at Montage Mountain Resorts, who have, guys, it's worth it for the Wagyu burger. Just go up there. Go to Slocum Hollow Lodge and enjoy it. But at Montage Mountain right now, 70 degrees. And that's the first time I've seen it this warm in a long time. Joe Snedeker said it hasn't been over above 85 since August. And we're probably going to hit it this week. So that's great stuff. By the way, my guy Gary D. sends in about Spangenberger. Greetings, I'm the new moderate Democrat candidate. I've learned how important it is to be on the 80 side of 80-20 issues. So I'm pivoting to be tough on crime, to avoid DEI as policy, to back our police, to step away from climate hysteria, and to support strong border security. These promises are fully binding and 100% sincere. I'm Abigail Spangenberger, and I approve this message. They are liars. And I say it, if you want to deny what you believe, like Cognetti's trying to do, I don't get it. What's the point of running? Well, see, for them, the point is winning and then lording their power over you to force left-wing lunacy on you. Boys and girls locker rooms, we can go through the whole list. Unbelievable. Rich from West Pittston. Bulldog. No, this is not from Rich. Bob, is there any way the Bulldog can play? Are you listening, Bulldog? The incredible comparison coincidences between the assassination of Lincoln and Kennedy. There are some fascinating things. See if you can find it, Bulldog. We'll maybe plug it in here at some point. But we've got to go to the blower right now. Did I have something to play, Bulldog? I didn't, right? Yeah, I didn't have anything to play. I didn't think so. So let's go right to the blower. We got Mike from Bloomsburg. Mike, how are you?
Hey, I'm actually a little bit agitated right now, Bob. I'm reading up some past articles about the No Kings rallies and how happy these people were that they were all together and they were protesting.
Total idiots. Total fools. It's embarrassing.
Banging drums and wearing funny costumes. And, you know, in addition to that, they were celebrating every time the Dow dropped a couple of 100 points. They were celebrated every time they heard that inflation ticked up a little bit. They were just celebrating everything that was going wrong with the country because that made them happy. Because anything that will hurt the country, they think will, you know, get Trump and the Democrats out. But here's why I really called. What really bothers me the most is that in the run-up to the war in Iraq, one of our nuclear bases, Barksdale, I believe it's called, down in Louisiana, that houses nuclear cruise missiles, okay? And from what I understand, that base was getting ready to put assets over into the Middle East. And while they were getting ready, they were getting buzzed by drones, okay? And these drones could not be jammed. In other words, we had no defenses against them, but they were just coming in and out in waves that prevented us from releasing our planes. And initially, it wasn't too much of a story, but then it comes out that it lasted 4 days, and those 4 days were when we were supposed to be transitioning those materials over to the Middle East. So it goes much deeper than that. We only have the tip of the iceberg. But here we are being threatened by drones at our nuclear facility, and it's really not a news of concern to the left. And that tells me that they don't care about America. They care about power. They care about winning. Yeah, that's it. And that makes them single-minded people, very short-sighted for the survival of this country.
No, they're anti-American. They're anti-American. And that's the leadership of the Democrat Party. That's who people like Paige Cognetti are following. It's a disgrace, absolute disgrace. By the way, on a side note related to what you're talking about, this Swalwell resigning from Congress. I mean, he is a horrible, horrible person. Never mind the left-wing lunacy. Never mind the Trump derangement syndrome. He's a horrible, horrible person. His sexual assaults have proven it. And good riddance. Man, if we could ever get rid of their senator, it's just like the pencil neck. It's unbelievable. These are bad people.
You know, Bob, I'm so glad that you mentioned that they turned on one of their own. And I'm going to dovetail into this.
Yeah, because it's all about power for them. There's no friendships on the Democrat side. Yeah. They hate each other. They're rivals to control power and control people. That's all they are. And as soon as there's no use for one, they chop his legs out.
Bob, I'm a baby boomer, okay? 70 years old. We stood up. We said the Pledge of Allegiance in the flag in school, in elementary school. They played the national anthem in high school. And we grew up, in my mind, in the perfect time, okay? But I went through this weekend and messaged a lot of my friends, and they know my personality. I said, hey, on a scale of 0 to 100%, how confident are you that Lee Harvey Oswald was the lone gunman that acted alone and killed John F. Kennedy? And every answer came back 0. That shows how much distrust the average baby boomer has in this government. And I'm telling you, we are responsible. We need to vote for people that will address the budget, that will address the excessive spending, and get this country under control. Because you know what? Powers come and go, and right now I think we're in the process of going unless we turn this thing around.
Giving the Democrats control of Congress or either of the houses or both is tantamount to destroying the country. They're that bad. They're that awful. And then you have dummy Trump helping them out with his stupid posts. Could he just sleep? Maybe sleep for a full weekend and go away? I agree with everything he's saying about the Pope, but this silly meme that he posted, like, stop. Please stop.
Yes, he you know, I have voted for Trump every chance I got, okay? And
I like him,
really,
but Jesus, he can be such an ass. It's exhausting. What's the point? Would you just stop? Can you just shut up?
he really has to get control of his mouth. And I don't know if there's anyone that can convince him of that. I really don't know.
He didn't do that himself. Who's the idiot who helped him do that? Who created that meme? You know, like, you're listening to him and you'd be probably laughing while you're doing it. Hey, have me pictured doing this. And you'd be laughing, but then get a grip. It's the leader of the world in the middle of a conflict. Stop it.
Yes. It's really the best thing for most people are just to ignore everything and go about their lives.
Well, I did for this whole weekend because I was away, and I come back to this nonsense, and I'm going, he did what? And then I looked at it, and I'm going, oh my God, that's beyond stupid. But look I always say this, it's like playing football with these guys that commit personal fouls and always have to have their mouths moving. But they're great players. So it's like, okay.
And you know what? He's better than the alternatives.
Oh, there is no alternative. There's no alternative. The alternative is insanity and incompetence.
Yes.
All right, we got to go, my man, but thank you.
We dodged some bullets, yes. Take care now. Thank you very much.
Bye. We'll talk to you. All right. We'll take a break and be back. Millie Small. Murph says this date, 1965, she performed her hit My Boy Lollipop on the television show Shindig. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. And let's go to my friend Joe Middleton. He's there. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Bob. How are you, my man?
I'm doing great. Good to hear from you.
Well, okay. A little history from Greater Pittston and northeastern Pennsylvania.
Love it.
Okay. On April 14th, 1865, two Pittston, the brothers, Edward and James Toohill, were playing in the pit orchestra at the Ford Theater when President Lincoln was assassinated. Not only were they both brothers, they both played the same instrument, the cornet. No, I kid you not, as Jack Parr says. And my source for this was a mentor and colleague in a couple of newspapers, the famed or notorious, if you want to say, historian Charles A. McCarthy.
Wow.
And the guy that led the band
now
was
you're doing Jack Parr. I've got to do Johnny Carson. I did not know that.
Okay. We're both devotees of late-night television.
But how about that?
The guy that led the orchestra was a William Withers Jr., and I believe he was not from Pennsylvania but New York, but he was the leader at the time, prior to getting the job with Ford's Theater, the leader of the 63rd Pennsylvania Volunteer Infantry Regimental Band. And then they went on after the Civil War, and he was at Ford's Theater, and then he played on and on.
Well, but, Joe, were there ever any newspaper? We played the recording of an eyewitness. Were there any newspaper accounts from them, local newspaper accounts where they said what they saw?
That I can't say, and I don't. Of course, Charlie McCarthy is dead, and a relative of the Toohills, young Jimmy Toohill, and I grew up and had gone to school together for 12 years, but he's now passed on. But McCarthy wrote about it in the Pittston Sunday Dispatch and then later in the Wyoming Valley Observer.
Wow.
Now, try and find them. I can't even find half of the stuff I had from the Wyoming Valley Observer because what I didn't have at home and lost it there in moving and divorce and everything, the flood got a lot of it. So I don't know, but I'm told, and I'm in Teddy technical. I'm in the land of ether when it comes with computers. But I'm told, I was told years ago, there is some reference up, if you Google it, about Edward and James Toohill being part of the orchestra under a gentleman named William Withers, Jr.
How about that? That's fabulous. Joe, thank you, my man. That's good stuff.
Well, wait, I have another tidbit for you. You might remember this guy. I know you were friends with the...
Go ahead.
I know you were friends with the late Buddy Mecca.
Yes.
But Lenny Culicino, who played in Ralph, is now a guitarist and singer with Jay and the Americans. Will be at the Kirby on Saturday night, May 2nd.
How about that? Well, that's a great concert. I was bragging about it before, and we're going to have those guys. How about that? I love it. Well, you are always a font of knowledge. First-hand knowledge, I might add.
Yeah, okay.
Joe, thank you,
You'll probably hear from the Cosmo today about the Titanic
I got a text from him. I think we're going to be doing the Cosmo tomorrow for the Titanic. And how appropriate the Titanic sunk on tax day.
Get your extension in.
Yeah, I know. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it, man.
All right, bye-bye.
All right. And Donald from Pittston. How are you, Donald?
Yeah, I called yesterday. I wanted to call you, but you were off. I called, so we had a civil conversation, though. She got a little upset. I was talking about this transgender stuff. That's what the Pope's supposed to be doing.
Yes.
That's not Trump's job or Bob Cordaro's job or Fox News or Greg Guffield's.
And
he should be talking about that.
The Pope has had no balance talking about the evil of the Iranian regime. I'm like, all right, you can criticize us for going to war. You're the Pope.
Oh God, you're right.
You're supposed to be for passivity. All that, I get it, but you have not balanced the scales in any way, shape, or form, and that means you're wrong, Pope. You're a left
Yeah,
winger.
he's wrong about he's less than a brick of ice. He's trying to be like a globalist pope for
Yep.
everybody. He's
Yep.
mad because the foreign aid cuts back. Now, what happens when there's less government funds? People go to church for food and stuff.
Yeah, but
staff
he
and
doesn't
stuff.
talk about how USAID
Yeah, he doesn't, right.
consultants and everybody else took all the money that was intended for foreign aid, and none of it gets there.
Exactly.
Nobody said that.
He doesn't address the issue. You're mutilating
Nope.
a child, my friend. Come
Yep.
on, I'm
Yep.
not against you. You should be out there talking about this. Why should I have to put money out? I want to put worldwide advertisements to stop it. You're mutilating God's creation. It's all Sue got me. We got a little. We're professionals though. We kept it civil, but like you don't get it. That's not for me and you to constantly talk about this insane party Democrats or Trump passed legislation to stop it. He should have been talking against it.
And don't forget, this Pope did not criticize the Chicago insane United States Senator Dick Durenberger at all. He praised him.
Exactly. If Jesus came down at a round table, he looked at Trump, he'd say, and look at the Pope, he'd say, you've been complacent. This guy passed legislation to stop the mutilation of my creation, children, and this transgender nonsense. You're quiet. Even this man's a sinner, but at least he's doing something about it.
Yep.
He's having to mold around Trump. Can't you see it? It's as plain as day. It's not that you're against the Pope or the Catholic faith. You're pandering to left-wing radicalism. Why? I don't know.
And by the way, the post by Trump was foolish. I don't. I don't get. I don't know whether they're saying. I don't know whether they're saying he's Jesus or trying to be Jesus. I don't get that.
I think someone's having fun with AI scamming them, and they should get
no.
He
He
did
it. He admitted he did it, and they took it down.
Yeah,
I just wonder, don't distract. Stop it. Just stop it, Trump. But he needs. I'm happy he calls out this. I'm happy he called out this Pope. This Pope is wrong.
Right. Exactly. You got to call him out. That's what Trump's trying to explain. I'm more of a man that him in that way, as far as being good to people, stopping the transgender. What's wrong? We can't mention nothing about that. He doesn't know what that is.
Not one
like
word.
With these operations and all this nonsense, scamming a kid about his gender.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. But I'm so happy that you have a brain and so many people can see it.
Praising the Illinois senator who was for everything the Catholic Church stands against. Everything.
Weak on crime and everything. It's terrible. It's not that you love the Pope, but you don't. You feel sorry for his ideology.
I love the office of the I love the papacy.
Right. He's not a bad. I don't think he's a bad man at all. But he's just confused. He's got he seems like he's pushing a left-wing agenda. Why? I don't know. You should be more conservative in making speeches.
It's easy. He's a left-winger. Hey, we got to go,
my man.
There's
no doubt about it. He's a left-wing. He's got it. There's nothing you can say about it.
We got to go, my man. We got to go. It's 10:02, which means way past time for the news. That's why I've got to wear the Picardo Jewelers watch, and I've got to constantly look at it. 10:02 a.m. We'll take a break and be back. Great good morning, everyone. My Picardo Jeweler's watch tells me it's 10:09 a.m. here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Tuesday, April 14, year before tax day 2026 here in the Northeast. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor, with the help of our man John Basiligue and his great Eastern Roofing Systems in Jessup, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year but celebrate today thanks to John, like Eugene Contratti, Cunningham, Robert Crone, Newfoundland, and Joseph Perotti, late of North Carolina, but he was from Bloomsburg. So with history, our great founding fathers, who we will not allow to be canceled, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America is our guide, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promise you that our deep and unalterable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here. JB sent this in to me. The Pope just told Trump to stop. I mean, and again, he says, think about that. The leader of 1.4 billion Catholics, the first American-born Pope in history, went on global television and told the President of the United States to make peace with Iran. Now, this is an evil regime that he's not even acknowledging. He's not acknowledging their evil. He's not acknowledging their hatred for Catholicism and Christianity. He's not acknowledging that if they got a nuclear weapon, if Donald Trump didn't do what he's been doing, they would use it to begin World War III. That's what they've declared. Isn't that some conspiracy theory? This is what they've said. And here's the beauty. This is why I love Trump. Again, he went too far with the meme. To me, he's not trying to be Jesus. He's trying to be a healer, and it just goes too far. That's fine. And I criticize him for it. But by the way, 90% of the hypocrites criticizing him for it support abortion on demand and everything else that the left-wing lunatics are pushing. So shut up to them. So Trump's response to Pope Leo's insane naivete. He says, terrible for foreign policy, a very liberal person, weak on crime, not doing a very good job. He didn't whisper it, says JB. He didn't send a diplomat. He said it to the world on the record about the Pope. And it goes on from there about the corruption of the church and the Vatican. There are things I can't prove, so I'm not going to read them. But believe me, much of it is true. It doesn't alter my Catholicism or belief in the tenets of the Catholic Church because humans have corrupted an amazing religion. They always will. They always will. It doesn't bother me. Well, it bothers me, of course, but it doesn't prevent me from continuing to be a Catholic and believe in that which the many, many, many good people in the Catholic Church have espoused. But this Pope is as bad as the last. He's weak. He's one-sided. And he's either incredibly naive or something worse. One or the other. So when I think of the Pope and his foolish, asinine statements, I think of Mother Teresa, and thankfully Mary Regina has sent in St. Teresa for today, April 14th. She said, a beggar one day came up to me and said, Mother Teresa, everybody gives you things for the poor. I also want to give you something, but I only have 10 pence. I want to give that to you. I said to myself, if I take it, he might have to go to bed without eating. If I don't take it, I will hurt him. So I took it. And I've never seen so much joy on anybody's face who has given food or money as I saw on that man's face that day. He was happy that he could give something. This is the joy of loving. St. Teresa. And she had these quandaries all the time, and she resolved them 100% of the time in the right place and in the right way. And you know, by the way, I disagree on some of her daily pronouncements because they don't contemplate fighting evil, which has to be done, in my view, with a viciousness and purpose, or it will crush mankind and civilization. Somebody takes in the same people that are crying over Trump and the Pope are the same people that are first to say, screw your religion and screw your thoughts and prayers. Yeah, I know. Don't listen to these asses on anything. And another agreeing with you. Bob, I don't remember the Pope telling the Iranians to stop killing their own people. He didn't. Another Bob LTS. Why doesn't Iran listen to the Pope since Israel is God's chosen people? I think we know the answer. Somebody texting me on another front. Bob, I just saw a statement from Dwight Eisenhower. Wait, I lost it because a bunch of other texts coming in. Without God, there could be no American form of government nor an American way of life. Recognition of the supreme being is first. Amen. And I'm glad to be back. LTS back at you. It's really something. Hey, Bob, I wonder what Jesus would say to Pope Leo. I can only imagine. My guess would be, why have you betrayed me and our followers, LTS? These people want to wipe the Catholic religion. They'd blow the Vatican up, you fool. It's unreal. Again, when you have that left-wing lunatic perspective, when that is, and I'm telling you, it looks like that's his religion more than Catholicism. Because if you're being a true Catholic, you could talk about not assaulting Iran and be naive. But you could not talk about the subject without talking about the evil of the Iranian regime. You couldn't. Fred Duckman says, Bob, maybe Tom Lehrer's song, The Vatican Rag, would be appropriate for Pope Leo. And somebody agreeing in part with what I'm saying. I'm Republican, and I think you're talking about Trump. He should keep his big mouth shut. Doesn't have to answer everything. I agree. Just stop. You don't have to create a controversy. The Pope was making a fool of himself by himself. Let him do it. Bob LTS, the Pope never mentions the innocent kids being raped and murdered or how much fentanyl killed our kids by the elements coming in, says RW. Yeah. He didn't mention the tragedy of the open border when he criticized our border policy. Shame on you. We're going to have to deal with another left-wing Pope. It's sad. Which is going to undermine faith in the church. Not mine. And I urge all of you. Human beings elected this Pope. Frail, mistake-prone human beings. They also elected Pope Francis. But remember, the same frail human beings elected Pope John Paul II, the standard that every papacy should live up to. Cabinet guy, how much do you hear about the condemning abortion from the Pope? Crickets. I agree. No balance. You could if you could criticize anything if you tell the truth, and then we will respectfully disagree with you. Now I disrespectfully disagree with you. I don't get it. I really don't get it. How do you not criticize the evil that is the Iranian regime if you're going to make a statement on the Iranian conflict? I don't get it. It's insane. It's sad. Sad to have another bad pope. All right, we're going to take a break and be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. The Beatles. Murph tells us this date, 1966, they finished recording their hit Paperback Writer, which they just started the night before without rehearsal. Man, Martin Mayer, he's always on top. Mino, okay, that's the restaurant shirt I have on for the live stream, brought to you by our friends at Roach Supply. Premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania, celebrating 75 years in business. You know what that means? That means they are great at what they do. They are fair to deal with. They are honest. Veteran Ronnie Roach, he's still up there kicking tail every day. Visit Roach Supply, ROCHE supply.com today, and check out the live stream, either on YouTube or on WILKNewsRadio.com. But he texted in, Mino, Pizzeria Bar Ristorante, authentic Italian, no Alfredo. Remember, that's not Italian. Italy Italian. No chicken parm. No spaghetti and meatballs. They've got meatballs, but no spaghetti with meatballs. That's not it. No garlic bread. That's another American invention. And the pizza is not cut. I heard tell what the explanation behind that was. But, and he wanted to know if my friend Dominic was speaking Chinese because of the cocktails. Well, no, I was speaking Chinese, not Dominic. He actually speaks it. Bobby B texts in, I was baptized Catholic, raised a Catholic. Went through 12 years of Catholic education. I'm so disgusted what I see from the Vatican. But again, though, Bob, this is important. If we've got a pope, and now we have our second in a row from the Americas, who is preaching liberation theology, which is lunatic, and ignoring the faults. How do you ignore? Again, I go back to this. How do you ignore the evil of the Iranian regime and open your mouth on the subject? Disgraceful. Now, he may go off the rails, Bulldog, so we got to be ready. But it's our man Larry from Plymouth calling on the Pope and the Catholic Church.
Yes.
Larry, you got me concerned.
Well,
that you're going to go off the rails now.
Bob,
I've been tough on the Pope, obviously.
Okay, Bob, for everybody who wants to know the real truth, I'm going to straighten this out. As far as what's talking about now, it's all irrelevant because I'm going to tell you this. You know, I'm a sort of I'm not sure, atheist, agnostic or whatever. But the part about Jesus. Now, Bob, there were, at the time of Jesus, there were a bunch of scholars back then. You had Josephus, Pliny, Artemis, and the Roman Empire, and there were more scholars. Now, they were around at that time. Now, the Roman Empire documented everything, and these scholars wrote about what went on at that time. Every single one of them, Bob, in their writings, there was not the mention of a man named Jesus. Now, you're going to tell me a guy that made all those miracles.
Here's what Larry, here's what I'm going to tell you. You've got to read Bill O'Reilly's book, Killing Christ.
I don't care. Bill O'Reilly's a nitwit. But
Bill O'Reilly's not a nitwit. And Martin Dugard, who wrote the book primarily, did all the research. Martin Dugard is one of the best historians in the history of the planet.
Well, okay,
they
Bob,
proved the existence of Jesus Christ.
Let me get in one more thing.
Go ahead.
And I'm going to say this. History is a pack of lies about things that never happened, told by people who weren't there. And that's the truth. Okay. Now, Jesus walked on water, but on TV, I saw David Blaine walk on water too. Now, Jesus may have been a good magician.
Oh, Larry, God bless.
No, this is the truth.
God bless your soul.
Use people
God
have
bless
to
your soul.
I've
got to tell you, the courage
Bob.
it takes to say what you say is off the charts. There's actually a part of me that's proud of you for having that kind of guts.
You have to, Bob. You have to have courage when you're telling the truth. You got to have courage. Bob.
I'm just happy you're in Plymouth and I'm in Pittston Township because I'm far enough away if the lightning bolt strikes.
Anybody could say anything about the Pope is because it's irrelevant. He's a man just like anybody else.
Correct.
And the Catholic Church is one of the most corrupt organizations ever. Christianity,
historically, it has been. Yeah.
Christianity is based on a lie.
I don't agree. You're not even close. You got to read Killing Jesus. Martin Dugard, and I've read his stuff. He wrote books with James Patterson. The guy's the best historian I have ever read.
Okay, Bob,
and he wrote Killing Jesus.
Just one thing: Jesus did not die on a cross. He was. They pulled him through. He married Mary Magdalene, and they moved to France and had a bunch of kids.
Oh, but you believe that history. You don't believe the real history. You believe that history.
No, well, because I saw guys on TV. I don't know if you ever watched Expedition Unknown. There's a group of people over in Israel, and they are looking. They're in France, a couple of them, and they are looking for the place where Jesus was born.
I played the cut of the scientist who analyzed the Shroud of Turin, and it was more proof of the existence and the crucifixion of Christ.
Leonardo da Vinci made that.
All right. Well, Larry, I love you, but we've got to go. It is not. I would actually love to continue this, but I've got to go.
I would. I could talk all day on this.
I know that. All right, my man.
Okay, and, Bob, you take it easy. Good to have you back.
You're gutsy. I love it. We'll take a break. We'll be back. Bulldog, are we far enough away from Larry to not get hit by the lightning bolt? Okay, we'll take a break and be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by our man John Basiliga. Today, although we normally do this on a Monday, but I wasn't here, we feature his first company, his biggest company, Eastern Roofing Systems. One of the largest and the premier roofing contractor for industrial, commercial, and institutional purposes in the eastern United States. And they bring all that expertise, all that buying power, all that experience home to you in Northeast Pennsylvania because they're headquartered in Jessup. If you're in the sound of my voice, Eastern Roofing Systems can do your house or your building right here. Robert Crone. He was 90. We lost him March 10. He was from Newfoundland. Reunited in heaven with his wife of 64 years, Meryl, whom he'd lost back in 2023. Born in Angels. That's a town I never heard of. He graduated from Greenbrier High School in 1954 and then served all of us in the U.S. Army. Before retiring, alongside his brother Clifford, they owned and operated Crone Electric. He loved being outside and took every opportunity to be there, loving nature. He loved it so much he was often late for dinner, much to the chagrin of his wife, Meryl. After her passing in particular, he loved being at the coffee group at McDonald's. He read the newspaper cover to cover every day, kept himself informed. Nothing made him more proud than his family, and they will cherish the nicknames that he made up for every one of them. He's survived by his 3 children, his 4 grandchildren, and his 5 great-grandchildren, as well as other family members. Robert Crone, our veteran this hour, brought to you by our man John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. AccuWeather forecast. Today, very warm with some sun. Becoming breezy this afternoon with a thunderstorm in spots. Thunderstorms can bring localized damaging wind gusts. High of 82. What else does Montage have to tell us about the weather? Well, tonight, a stray evening thunderstorm, low 59. Tomorrow, Wednesday, very warm. Periods of clouds and sunshine, thunderstorm in the afternoon. These thunderstorms can bring localized damaging wind gusts, but it'll be 84. Thursday, very warm. Sun and areas of high clouds in the morning, then mostly cloudy in the afternoon. High 89 Thursday, down to 58. Friday, mostly cloudy and very warm. Shower in spots in the morning, followed by brief showers in the afternoon. High 77, low 54. Saturday, remaining very warm with intervals of clouds and sun. High 82, low 57. It's going to be a gorgeous week in the mountain, up at Montage Mountain. Right now, 73 degrees there. So a gorgeous night to just go up and just hang. Just love it. Montage Mountain Resort. Anything, Bulldog? Nothing? Okay. Yeah, so somebody texted, Bob, wait till Larry meets Jesus. Wow. I think Jesus is going to have a laugh. I don't know if he's going to give him a pass because somebody texted, I'll pray for Larry. Somebody texted, what Trump said was foolish, and he always picks the wrong fights for. By the way, what he said is not foolish. That meme, it went too far, and he he's trying to provoke, and that went too far. He was not trying to pretend he was Jesus. I didn't read it that way. I mean, if you hate Trump, you're going to whatever. Anyway, the listener continued. He always picks the wrong fights for some unknown reason, but it's certainly not false. The Pope said nothing while Nigerian Christians were being butchered. And as far as the left goes, they would have you believe that Trump's words are worse than late-term abortions, gender surgery on children, thousands of fentanyl deaths, traffic, children abuse, child abuse, of children and illegal immigrants that murder American citizens. I'm with you. You nailed it. You nailed it. Somebody says, Bob, I can't tell you God doesn't exist anymore. Then you could tell me he does. Oh, no, I can tell you more than I can. More than you. I can prove God's existence more than you can prove that he doesn't exist. But the listener continues. I listened to George Carlin's routine on religion. He said he prayed to God 50% of the time his prayers were answered. 50% of the time they weren't. The best results he got is when he prayed to Joe Pesci. Well, Carlin was great. He was great. There's no doubt about it. But I will say this. I always say, okay, what came before the Big Bang? And we played Ronald Reagan. Last week, he said he was going to invite a bunch of atheists to the White House and have the most fabulous gourmet meal cooked up. And after the meal is over and they've enjoyed it, he's going to ask, I wonder if there was a chef. What came before the Big Bang? That's all I'll ask you. And who created it? Charles from Scott Township. How are you, Charles?
Hey, Bob. Good. Thanks for taking my call. First of all, just say one thing about that one caller. I'm not going to be nasty about it. I'm just saying I'm a Bible-believing, God-loving, Jesus-loving Christian. Jesus spoke about people like him. He simply called them the blind leading the blind.
Yeah, and it's I say this: if he's right and there is no God, and I die, well, maybe some alien will have a chuckle. If I'm right and there is a God, I wouldn't want to be him.
No, and actually, his statement today, I hate to say it, and I've seen this happen. Believe me, I'm 71 years old, and I've seen it happen. By talking away, especially on the radio in the public, and quite honestly, blaspheming the Son of God. Unfortunately, I hope I don't even want to say it. But anyway, I don't even go there. But anyway,
I say this though, Charles. It gives me an opportunity to talk about it. So, and we do the same thing with left wingers also. It gives me an opportunity to talk about the truth of issues, and so we had a chance to talk about something we wouldn't have brought up.
Right, but anyways, back about one thing about the Pope too. What kills me about the Catholicism, about the Catholic Church, is the hypocrisy. And back with Joe Biden, when Joe Biden was in office, he was all for abortion, and they got, instead of excommunicating him, they never did. And look at what he did that day when they had that celebration, when they had all the transgenders there and everything. And I mean, the things that he did.
Joe Biden publicized Transgender Visibility Day on Easter Sunday. He was a sickening disgrace in every respect. Should never been served communion. He should be excommunicated. He's scum.
And yet, the Catholic Church didn't do that. And look at the way they covered up for all those pedophile priests for all these years.
Yep.
And so to me, I mean, like I don't even want to hear the Pope. I don't want to hear him, especially when you talked about what Trump said about him not condemning Iran for the horrible. Look at 45,000 of their own citizens. They
and someone else brought up the Nigerian massacre. The Nigerian Christians getting massacred. Not a peep out of Pope Leo. He's awful.
Yeah, he's a far left liberal, without a doubt.
Yep.
And again, he represents. He's supposed to represent the church. He represents Christ.
Doesn't represent my views. He doesn't represent the Catholic Church's views, as far as I can see. And again, I'm proudly Catholic, but I believe in what they were founded upon, not on what this Pope and the previous Pope say. I don't care what they say, because they're obviously are confused, wrong, naive, stupid. I don't even care what you say about it. My Pope was John Paul II, and he was the greatest in my lifetime, maybe ever. Well, other than St. Peter.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you, absolutely.
Yeah.
But what these popes are, the ones who just the last two, what they simply are is they're wolves in sheep clothing.
disappointments at best, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, too bad. But anyways, Bob, like I said, I'll pray for this Larry because
that's what we got to pray for guys like that. And I love the guy. I know him well. I love him. He's a good person. But he better repent. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've seen things happen to people when they talk like that, and it's not good. They bring bad karma.
Well, we just always when Larry calls in, Charles, we're always make sure that we're far enough away.
I'll tell you what. The Bible says without faith it's impossible to please God. And how do you get faith? Faith comes by hearing the Word of God or reading the Word of God. And I believe with all my heart that Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and then he rose again, and he's now up there on the right hand of God. It says he's on the right hand of God. He's our high priest right now, making intercession for all mankind.
Did you ever read Killing Jesus, Charles? Did you ever read Killing Jesus by...
No, I never did. No,
I'm telling you, it proves his existence. It proves Christ's existence.
Yeah,
it proves his resurrection in the most historical way that we could.
Honestly, it sounds like a good book, and I like Bill O'Reilly. But, I don't have to read anything like that. Nobody has to try to convince me. I have my faith. I believe. I would die for my faith. I believe 100%. I believe that the Bible is God's written word, inspired by the Holy Spirit, and that Jesus is the Son of God. And I believe that. With all my heart. So nobody has to tell me that.
Well,
I know
apparently
that.
we've got two popes in a row who would let you die for your faith because they don't care.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, they don't care. Like you said, and what's happening in these Nigeria and these other countries. Where's their concern? Look at China. Look at the horrible thing. It's terrible what goes on in China, and you don't hear you never hear these popes come out and criticize the Chinese government or Nigeria government or Iranian government.
Pope Francis made a deal with the Red Chinese to let the Communist Party help pick the bishops in China. No, this
unbelievable.
This is wrong. This is bad. But Charles, we got to go, my man. Thank you, my friend.
Okay, take care. Nice talking to you, Bobby. Have a good day. God bless.
Always a pleasure. Love your declarations. Hey, we got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back. The Bee Gees. Murph tells us this date, 1967, they released their hit, New York Mining Disaster, 1941. And so, guess what? So I'm on the plane. I took Breeze on the way down and American on the way back because we were going to stay with my friend down there, Joey G. And I'm like, I can't be waking them up at 4 o'clock in the morning on Monday. So we took American home, which has a more civilized departure time, like 10:46. So, but on the way down, I run into Mary Regina, the woman who brings you your Mother Teresa every day. She was headed down to Florida. And I know she's talked with our friend Tina Morocco. That's our global sales advisor down at, and we're going to hear from her today, I think. She's getting off a plane coming here. And she's with Sotheby's in Naples, but you can reach her at Tina Morocco, MURACCO.com. So Lisa, who has become a big executive here, and apparently she runs everything now at this point, but she received some mail from me. I received a book, Revelations of a Mafia Family, The Teamsters and the Final Resting Place of Jimmy Hoffa by Charles Buffalino. And the book's about his family member, Russell Buffalino. I cannot wait to read this. So thank you for sending it, Charles, and I look forward to having you on in the very near future. Russell Buffalino, fascinating, obviously. Gary D says, there are times when I think this Pope is the 12th Imam. Yeah, I mean, jeez. I don't get it. Somebody says, hey, Bob, here's another religious argument. The first man and woman on earth were Adam and Eve. They had 2 sons. Now, let me point this out. The Bible does not say they only had 2 sons. Very important. Sometimes what is not there, and I'm not one that says that the Bible, a lot of people believe that it's the literal word of God. I believe it's inspired word, but it's still written by humans. And then the various books of the Bible were adopted by humans, again, with hopefully spiritual inspiration through God, but still humans. Anyway, so just remember that the Bible does not say, and I'm not a Bible literalist, it does not say there were not other kids. Because then the listener asks, rightly so, who did they have to populate the earth? If there was nobody else there, was it a neighbor girl down the block? I mean, your point is well taken, but you've got to remember, and it doesn't say God didn't create other human beings after Adam and Eve were kicked out of the Garden of Eden. So you've got to remember what it doesn't say as much as what it does say. But it's, again, I think it's divinely inspired humans who have compiled the Bible, who have written the Bible and the books of the Bible. And you only get so far with humans, period. There's no chance for perfection. But it is, in fact, the greatest historical count of humanity that we have. All right. My Bacardo Jewelers watch. And you got to remember, I've got a Bacardo Jewelers watch. And they've got Raymond Weil, Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, Seiko, Tory Burch, Victorinox, Bulova, G-Shock. I was there picking up Cutie's rings that were getting sized last week. I just can't believe the jewelry they have. This is just a gorgeous store. It's just a comfortable place to hang around and be. The Bacardo Jewelers on the corner of Spruce Street and Jefferson Avenue. Caddy corner from the Radisson. You will love it. Well, you'll love it as much as I love my Picardo Jewelers watch. You will. And that tells me it's almost 11:02, which means we've got to take a break for the news, and then we'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Great good morning, everyone. It's 11:08 a.m. on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. This beautiful Tuesday, April 14, year of our Lord 2026 here in the great Northeast. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor, with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Eastern Roofing Systems, the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year and celebrate today, thanks to John, like Robert Crone of Newfoundland, Eugene Contratti of Cunningham, and Joseph Parati, late in North Carolina, but he was from Bloomsburg. So with history, our amazing founding fathers, who we will not allow to be canceled, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order, this meeting, the Club for Common Sense, promising that our deep, unalterable, and unassailable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here. Bob Cordaro back with you on this program, starting the new hour, and so much to talk about here. Somebody says Spruce Street and Jefferson Avenue, love it. Well, yeah, it's not Biden Street to me. I'm done. I am done disgracing the city that I love with insane Bill Gaughan and insane Mayor Cognetti's homage to the sick, corrupt, twisted, evil fool, Joe Biden. Somebody says, in Larry's defense, Larry from Plymouth, there are excluded biblical books out that are quite scary. I know. Somebody says, Cain and Abel were the first children of Adam and Eve. Yet when Cain killed Abel, it said he was marked so others would not kill him. Thus, that makes the implication that there were many more people on earth. Yep. Great. Another example. That's right. You gotta, when it comes to the Bible, for me, I think it's an accurate history. But God was telling, you got to remember the mental state of humanity when either the biblical books were inspired or when they were written with God's inspiration. They thought evil spirits, like they thought men, other than people who believed in our God, thought that the moon was a god. They thought that Mars was a god. I mean, you were telling a story to children which they had to then relate. Certainly children in terms of metaphysical and physical understanding of our world. Yet it remains the greatest book in history and the greatest historical account. By the way, did you know that they are discovering, and by the way, you're not going to see it anywhere else but Fox, maybe News Nation, I'm trying to think of the others, but the Biden Department of Justice was even worse than we thought. Unbelievable. Somebody said, hi, Bob, ALTS. At the end of the movie Angels and Demons, a cardinal tells Robert Langdon, Tom Hanks, that the church is perfect. Man is not. Amen. There it is. You nailed it. I forgot about that quote. Amen. And man is not. They're going to ruin everything. They're going to harm everything. And we have this left-wing ideology in the Catholic Church, which is despoiling everything. And what do you do when you're a left-winger, like our current Pope and the previous Francis. You ignore balance. Because balance does not support your left-wing ideology. Truth and fact and reality don't support it. So what do you have to do? You have to pretend like our attack on Iran is in a vacuum and is an act of aggression that was unprovoked. Now, anybody who follows history, anybody who follows what the Iranians have said, what they've done over the last 47 years, over the radicalization of the Shia sect of Islam, would know, and the Pope has access to the greatest scholars on the planet in the Vatican. So there's no way he would have to willfully ignore the facts and truth and reality to make the statement he made about America's incursion into Iran. And then if he wanted to be a naive fool, he would have to ignore the brutality and the outright evil of the Iranian regime. And that their intent is to bring their 12th Imam, which is their version of the apocalypse. Remember, apocalypse does not mean the end of the world. Not even in the Catholic religion. Not even in the Christian religion. It just means apocalypse. Chaos. So they want to bring about their apocalypse by starting World War III. That's what they want to do. They state it, they proclaim it. They're still fighting and taking grievous punishment militarily to preserve a nuclear program. What? Why? Because they want data centers? What are you kidding? They want to bring about, exactly as they state, their version of the apocalypse. Somebody texted in on the previous subject. Somebody, you're so gross, Bob. I don't know what you're talking about. You just stop being stupid, please. I'm telling you, one of the scariest things today is that we've told you, and John Perillo has brought us, when we were developing our way through Western culture, Plato's story of the cave. And these people were tied into a cave. And they were looking at shadows. They had a fire. They were in a circle facing outward from a fire behind them. And their entire reality became the shadows on the cave wall. One of them broke loose and went out into the world and said, oh my, and he came back and said, my God, there's green plants, there's beauty all over, animals, blue skies, gorgeous, cool water. And they tried to kill him because he interrupted the reality that these people created for themselves. It's likewise with the left and the Democrat leadership today. It really is. They're offended greatly by the truth. They're offended greatly by fact, truth, and reality. Scary. And I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get your stake in the game. I really don't get your stake in the game. You got some loyalty to the Democrat Party? I don't even comprehend it. And the Democrat Party today is being led by evil, twisted, sick ideology. And that is abortion. It goes all the way, abortion after birth, boys and girls' locker rooms and sports, freeing criminals to slaughter people, opening the border so that criminal gangs and cartels can flourish, turn children into sex slaves and work slaves. I mean, these are all things that happen, and I'm like, they've actually happened. And you're defending the Democrat Party. I don't understand it. I really don't get it. What's your point? You want to be insane? You want to get along with insanity? I mean, all I have to put up with Trump is a silly meme here and there. And policies that confront and comport with fact, truth, and reality. You have to live in a lunatic asylum to support the Democrat Party. Cabinet guy adding in child body mutilation. Yeah, you have to. I mean, John Fetterman, who was no genius before the stroke, calling out the Democrat Party on being based on lies. I don't understand it. Why would you stick with this? Where does this loyalty come from? If the Republican Party goes rogue, or a particular Republican, they're going to get criticism from me without hesitation, without pause. And yet, people are devoted to this insanity. Joe Biden deserves to be honored? You have to be insane to think that. You have to be literally insane to think that. My gosh. All right, we've got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK, reminding you the live stream, powered by Roach Supply, celebrating 75 years in business. Premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania. Family business. We're on 4th generation. And Ronnie Roach really started with his dad. He's in his 90s. Roach Supply, ROCHE supply.com. The best. We'll be back. This date, 1969, Murph says RCA Records released Elvis Presley's version of the Mac Davis song, In the Ghetto. Bob Cordaro back with you. And, of course, before that in history, and it was mentioned earlier in the program, the great book, The Grapes of Wrath. I would urge you to read it. Great American novel. But 1935, a severe sandstorm ravaged the U.S. Midwest. Just imagine this, creating what they called the Dust Bowl. Biden banner disgrace. Stolen valor. Day 120. The Greenwich Neighborhood Association, in their abject foolishness and ignorance, placed the hometown hero banner honoring Joe Biden as a veteran when he dodged service to this country multiple times. They found out that it was for veterans and intended to be so, and still voted 10-5 to keep the banner up. And they are disgracing themselves and the entire neighborhood and region. Biden banner disgrace 120, and now it's got pink paintball stains on it. So it's a complete disgrace. Take the banner down. Biden banner disgrace 120. Somebody texted in amplifying their previous text. Gross for right-wing radio talk show. I dare you to tell me what I'm saying that's right-wing. I dare you. Not what the left says is right-wing. And I want to dare you to tell me how common sense has become right-wing. But they continue to twist themselves into pretzels, defending this administration and war. You don't even listen. Attacking the Pope because he's calling for peace and saying God doesn't take sides. I didn't say his entire statement was stupid. I said he's a fool for not showing balance. You tell me where the balance is in his statement. They continue, and then insults and more insults. No, truth and more truth, which you take as insulting. Because you want to be ignorant. You want to be ignorant. I don't know why. Somebody says, Dear Bob, I pray every morning before I leave the house, and I'm also Catholic. I believe in God because the Pope and the priests are men, and they are fallible. But with all the genocide in China, Iran, Ethiopia, I'll add Nigeria. Where is the United Nations and The Hague? I believe that it is considered crimes against humanity. Unbelievable. I'm telling you, you people who are hanging on to this sick, twisted ideology and this sick, twisted political party, for whatever your reasons are, there's something wrong with you. And you better check yourself. There's something wrong with you. You don't want to see the fact and the truth and reality. I'll see the fact, truth, and reality. Donald Trump is a huckster. Donald Trump exaggerates virtually every time he talks. Donald Trump goes too far with many of his responses. Okay. But Donald Trump sees. Here's another. Bob, you do defend everything that Trump puts out. See, you're just stupid. You seriously are stupid. Well, again, that's the chief troll. Donald Trump is fallible, but I'm going to tell you enough. Strangely enough, he's not as fallible as the Pope. Iran was building up missile defense so that they could continue to develop nuclear weaponry. Donald Trump could have waited until after the midterms, when they would have been thousands of missiles more powerful, when they would have had nuclear weaponry almost certainly. And he didn't. And he attacked them, and he's continuing to attack them, and now very wisely putting a blockade. I actually think it's 2 weeks, well, it's a month too late. We should have put an immediate blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. There's another story. This is the seat of evil. And by the way, very importantly, there's plenty of evil in the world. Evil in action. Nancy Pelosi, to me, is an evil human being. But she had no power to put that evil into action other than stupid words. She is a jackass, drunk half the time. The Iranians were putting forth and developing the means within months, at most, to bring back the 12th Imam. If you don't understand that, that means you don't want to. That means you're an idiot. Sorry. Unbelievable. And then to say I defend everything Trump does, it's a lie. Absolutely. But again, your entire philosophy is based on lie. So that's what you've got to do is lie. So continue to do it. Doesn't disturb me. It gives me the opportunity to bring up your foolishness. And on top of that, we love you because you're listening. We'll take a break and be back. Veterans Tribute, weather, and then our friend Tina Morocco. We don't need the sunshine today, but we want it. We'll be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Proudly brought to you by a friend of the veterans, John Basiliga and his great Eastern Roofing Systems this day. Eastern Roofing Systems, the premier and one of the biggest roofing contractors in the eastern United States. They do commercial, industrial, institutional projects all over this country, and they bring that expertise right here to Northeast PA for your house or your building or your project. Eastern Roofing Systems. Joseph Parati, he was 79 when we lost him March 17th, living in Boiling Springs, North Carolina, a retired information technology consultant. Born in Bloomsburg, he was a graduate of Bloomsburg High School and American University, where he received a bachelor's degree in computer science. Joseph served all of us in the United States Air Force. He was a retired consultant in information technology. He loved golf, watching football, traveling with his family. A proud grandson of Tyrolean immigrants from Trento, Italy. He was preceded in death, sadly, by family including 7 siblings. He is survived by his daughters, 2 of them, his grandchildren, and amazingly for this large family, another brother, Len Parati. Our veteran this hour, Joseph Parati, brought to you by our friend, John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. AccuWeather forecast for today, brought to you by our friends at Montage Mountain Resort, who bring you the weather. They mean weather, and weather means Montage. Always remember that mountain. It's always hopping. They're swinging into spring. Today, very warm with some sun, becoming breezy this afternoon with a thunderstorm in spots. Thunderstorms can bring localized damaging wind, high 82. Tonight, a stray evening thunderstorm, low 59. Tomorrow, very warm with periods of clouds and sunshine. A thunderstorm in the afternoon. Thunderstorms can bring localized damaging wind gusts, another issue tomorrow, but it's going to get up to 84 with a low of 64. Thursday, very warm, sun and areas of high clouds in the morning, then mostly cloudy in the afternoon, high 89, low of 58. Friday, mostly cloudy, very warm, a shower in spots in the morning, followed by brief showers in the afternoon, high of 77, low 54. Man, it may be time to get up. It's going to be time to go have a cigar on the deck at Montage. Saturday, remaining very warm with intervals of clouds and sun, high 82, low 57. And that is your weather, brought to you by our friends at Montage Mountain Resorts. We love them, and they're swinging in the spring for all of us. I always liked this song, but now I love it, because it means Tina Morocco's here. And I got to hang around with her and Dominic over the weekend, so it was great. Tina, how are you, my darling?
I'm fabulous, Bob. How are you?
I'm great. I'm happy to be home, but you and Dominic are great tour guides to Southwest Florida. You're the best, so.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Well, we enjoyed it, yeah.
Yeah, so Tina, what do you got for us today?
Well, I'm in Scranton today. I just got here.
I know. You brought the sunshine.
And the weather.
You apparently brought the sunshine with you. Does it travel everywhere you go, apparently?
Usually it does.
All right. So, Tina, tell us what area, what thoughts are on your mind regarding Florida real estate?
Sure. So I was just thinking about 2 neighborhoods we were actually talking about over the weekend. And these 2 neighborhoods are pretty unique in Southwest Florida in that they have pretty much everything. One is Bonita Bay in Bonita Springs, and the other one is Windstar in just south of downtown Naples. And the reason why these 2 communities are so special is because if you're a golfer, if you're a boater, these these communities are gated communities, like country club style communities, but they also have marinas in them. So golf access there. So you can have your boat, you can have your, golf, you can have that country club lifestyle, but there's really not that many of them around here that have it all.
Yeah.
But Bonita Bay and Windstar are two of the ones that have it. And both can accommodate pretty big boats.
Tina, I often tell the audience that I had retired to a federally managed gated community, but very different than the communities you're talking about.
So, well, I'm talking about gated communities. And actually, Bob, that's a good point. So people, a lot of times when they move to Florida, they hear about these gated communities, and either it's like a very positive thing or like a very scary thing. And, they ask me, why are all these communities gated? Is there a lot of crime here? And the reason that the communities were initially gated here in Southwest Florida, at least, is because it gave the illusion of security for so many people that weren't here full time. It really, gave them, like, you enter in, there's a guard there checking everybody's IDs. So, it's like you can get your guests in, but they have to be on a list. So it was kind of like a more secure thing. Now it's more that, it just limits the traffic incoming and out, outgoing. So it's much easier now. A lot of the communities are gated without live guards. So you'll just have a barcode to go in and out. You give your guests a code to get in and out. But a lot of people like that aspect of
you could understand why in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, Florida, just walking around Naples in particular, but Bonita Springs and Naples, it felt completely safe. It really did.
Yeah, it's nice. And I will say, how we started off really as a resort community, vacation land, really. There are a lot of people here in Southwest Florida that are here full time, and we're getting a lot more. So that's, a primary audience of ours that's coming down that are, claiming primary residency in Florida rather than their home states.
My friend Gene Trotta said he was talking to you, so.
Yeah, I talked to Gene the other day. Yeah,
they're getting it. They're getting it. Well, all right. So the two Windstar. Now that I had not heard of either. Okay.
So Windstar is south of downtown Naples. So it's probably 5 minutes from downtown Naples. So if you're driving down Tamiami Trail towards Marco Island, it's down that way, that direction. And Bonita Bay is on 41 US 41 Tamiami Trail in Bonita Springs, like pretty much in the heart of Bonita Springs.
Yeah.
So both of those communities too. The neat part about Windstar is that they have a water taxi to Key Waden Island. So if you're a resident there and you don't have a boat, you can the community has a boat that goes, ever so often to and from Key Waden Island. So if you just want to spend a couple hours there, you can do that.
Well,
Bonita Bay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say Bonita Bay has a beach club. So this beach shuttle loops around the community all day long and just picks people up and takes them to the beach all day long. So, it's really, you don't have to have a car. A lot of people have golf carts, so it's, that type of community.
Well, Tina Morocco, she is your trusted guide to Florida real estate, specializing in Southwest Florida. You can reach her at Sotheby's International in Naples, or go direct, Tina Morocco, MURACCO.com. And if you get in touch with her now, she's in town. She's in town scoping things out to go back to Florida. Tina, thank you so much, and great being with you.
Bob. All right, take care. Bye.
We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. By the way, Rob Bresnahan and Danny Muser had Doug Burgum in yesterday in Northeast Pennsylvania. I love Burgum. I just wasn't around to interview him, and I gave my regrets because I do really like Doug Burgum. And again, just shows you the juice our two congresspersons have. Awesome. We got what a 1-2 punch. Bresnahan Muser. Unbelievable. We're so fortunate. That's Vicki Lawrence, by the way. Murph tells us this date, 1973. It was the #1 hit. The night the lights went out in Georgia. We're going to finish. There's many songs we're not going to get to. With Neil Diamond, because he released his hit America on the day the first space shuttle Columbia landed. That's the history we just played. Now, we got people holding, and I'm going to do lightning round on the calls. Boom, boom, boom. You got 30 seconds. Let's go to Joe from Berwick first. Joe, fire away quickly, my man.
Hey, Bob, first thing is I learned a long time ago not to argue with people over the details of how God created the earth, because regardless of how it was done, they can't prove he didn't do it by their arguments of Big Bang or expansion, whatever they call it. They can't prove that God did not create the material, and he doesn't let us in on it in his
Somebody
word.
had to create it.
Says,
I guarantee it was God. And the other part, Joe, the other part about it is they don't have an alternative. That's another important part about it.
Now, the other thing I just wanted to mention quick about the Pope. You know what? Donald Trump obviously can say things a lot better than he does. That's a given. But you know what? The problem with this Pope is what we have going on, Bob, is we have the Christian worldwide in Europe and America. They are no longer reproducing themselves. The family is no longer functioning. And we're taking children, young children, and making them infertile because of puberty blockers and surgeries. And this guy stands by and says nothing about that. We're literally
He's got no balance, Joe. God. Zero balance. He goes left wing only, and I won't listen to him anymore. I'm done with him. Jim from Harding on the Pope. Hey, Jim, fire away very quickly.
Yeah. Why do I get a feeling this Pope is a liberal and he leans towards Democrats? It's my opinion. He votes Democrats. So when they elected him, I was expecting blue smoke to come out of that chimney and say, hey, we elected a Democratic Pope.
It's our second in a row, and it's not very pleasant. Believe me, it's not.
I didn't like this guy before Trump got onto him.
Well, I like him. I could tell he's holy, but it's like, just you've got to stop talking because you have no concept of balance. Period.
But you notice that how they got a wall around the Vatican City, but he wants open borders?
Yep. Not at the Vatican. Not at the Vatican. Thank you, my man. Bill from Pittston, just a couple of seconds, my man. Fire away.
Yeah, the smoke that came out of the Vatican, it smelled like somebody's fart when the Pope was elected. This guy...
It's a little rough. Okay.
No. This guy, I have no respect for him. I respect the office. I don't respect him. And there have been popes that you could challenge, like Stephen VI. Look that up. Look up Pope Formosa if you want to see scandalous popes. This guy your buddies are right. He's a politician. He's a Chicago politician, and that's the best you can say about him.
Well, he's not doing great. Go ahead.
Check out the Cadaver Synod. Seriously. They put a pope on trial that was dead.
All right, my man. Thank you always. It's noon. That means we got to go. Bacardo tells me it's noon. I got to go. The Sue Henry Show's next. The Rob O'Donnell Show after that. But for now, I must say adios. God willing, I'll be with you tomorrow right at 9. We'll do it again. So much to talk about. They never have They never have a limit on what to talk about. There's a lot. Have a great afternoon, guys. We'll see you tomorrow, God willing. We are adjourned.